want you to know that I'd do it all again. This is a circus, all right? It's a charade, it's an act. There's bullshit about how crazy I am. I ain't crazy.
It looks like we finally have something fresh to get excited about when it comes to the Punisher. Not only is Marvel Studios bringing the character back for a new 2026 special presentation, but this reboot is also going to feature a surprising tie-in to Iron Fist. And that's not even the end of Frank Castle's journey, because he's also confirmed to be returning in Spider-Man Brand New Day. So let's break down everything we know about where the Punisher is headed in the MCU and what this all means moving forward. First off, let's talk about the Iron Fist connection. According to recent updates, the Punisher reboot will include a nod, or maybe even a direct link, to Danny Rand's world. Now, even though Iron Fist didn't exactly win over fans during its Netflix run, there's still a lot of hope that Marvel Studios might give the character a proper redemption. While no official plans have been announced for a full Iron Fist revival, it's becoming clear that Danny Rand's presence in the MCU is starting to resurface. That's where things start to get interesting. The Punisher making his return through Spider-Man Brand New Day might sound a little out of place at first. After all, Frank Castle's story is dark, gritty, and loaded with violence, while Peter Parker's MCU journey has always leaned more toward the heartfelt and emotional. But when you think back to the Punisher's solo series, and especially his history in Daredevil Born Again, it actually makes a bit more sense than it seems on the surface. The last time we saw Jon Bernthal's Frank Castle was during Daredevil Born Again, where his return thrilled fans who have been waiting for his comeback since the Netflix show ended. But now, Marvel is stepping things up a notch by confirming that the Punisher will be part of the fourth MCU Spider-Man movie. That's huge, because it not only puts Frank on the big screen in the MCU for the first time, but it also brings him into direct contact with Peter Parker's world. Naturally, that announcement raised a lot of eyebrows. The news of Bernthal joining the Brand New Day cast dropped in early July 2025, and fans were immediately intrigued. While we already knew Tom Holland would return as Peter Parker with Zendaya's MJ and Jacob Batalon's Ned Leeds by his side, another big name, Sadie Sink, was also confirmed, though her role hasn't been revealed yet. So the addition of Frank Castle adds a whole new layer to this movie that no one really saw coming. Peter's story took a darker turn at the end of No Way Home, but he's still far from the kind of extreme that defines the Punisher. So the fact that Marvel is choosing to bring Frank into Brand New Day might hint at some kind of tension between the two. Maybe they clash over their very different methods. Maybe Peter is tempted by Castle's ruthless tactics, or maybe Frank sees something in Peter that reminds him of someone from his past. And that's where Castle's prior TV history starts to come into play. Rewatching The Punisher recently, especially after Daredevil Born Again, helps the idea of him being in a Spider-Man story click a bit more. The show repeatedly shows Frank walking a morally gray line. He's capable of extreme violence, but he also operates by his own code, often protecting those he sees as innocent. For example, in The Punisher Season 1, we see Frank trying to help Micro's family, even bonding with Micro's son despite using some rough tactics to scare him straight. It's that strange mix of brutal and protective that makes Castle such a fascinating character. Then in Season 2, we see an even clearer connection to the kind of dynamic that might play out between him and Spider-Man. That's when Frank meets Amy Bendix, a street-smart teen who gets tangled up in a deadly political conspiracy. At first, the two don't trust each other, but over time, Frank becomes something of a guardian figure to Amy. Their bond grows as they work together, with Frank slowly coming to see her as family. By the end of the season, he even encourages her to start fresh and build a better life for herself, which she takes to heart. This relationship is important because it shows us that Frank Castle isn't just a killing machine, he's someone who can see potential in younger people who remind him of the family he lost. If Spider-Man, especially in his younger and more vulnerable state post No Way Home, triggers those same emotions in Castle, it could influence how he interacts with Peter. He might go a little easier on him, or he might even feel a need to protect him from falling too deep into the darker side of vigilantism. That dynamic could mirror some of the most compelling elements from Netflix's Marvel shows. Think about how Daredevil and the Punisher clashed in Daredevil Season 2. They were completely different in their views, but they pushed each other in ways that made for some of the best Marvel TV storytelling. A Spider-Man and Punisher pairing could bring a similar kind of energy to the MCU's next chapter. Now, pulling this off won't be easy. Spider-Man has always appealed to a broad audience, including kids, while the Punisher is as gritty and violent as they come. So the challenge for Marvel is to balance the tone. Keep things intense and meaningful without making it so dark that it strays from Spider-Man's core spirit. But the groundwork has already been laid for this kind of team-up to work, and if anyone can walk that fine line, it's Jon Bernthal. As for where Frank Castle is headed next, the Punisher special presentation coming in 2026 will follow up on the events of Daredevil Born Again. This project will reportedly introduce a new female villain, the first time the Punisher will go up against a woman in decades. And interestingly enough, part of it is being filmed at Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn, a location fans of Iron Fist will definitely recognize. That cemetery was featured in Iron Fist as the site of the Rand family's graves, so filming at that exact spot could be a subtle nod to Danny Rand, especially since fans have been speculating for a while now about whether the Defenders saga will become more intertwined with the current MCU timeline. Marvel Studios has already made it clear that those Netflix shows are canon. Born Again itself is picking up threads from those earlier stories. We've already seen Kristen Ritter confirmed to return as Jessica Jones in Born Again Season 2, with Charlie Cox back as Daredevil and Bernthal now firmly re-established as the Punisher. The only main Netflix characters left are Luke Cage and Iron Fist. And even though there's no confirmation yet, both Mike Colter and Finn Jones have been spotted in New York recently, sparking rumors that their returns might be in the works too. Colter has hinted that he'd be open to playing Luke Cage again, and Jones has publicly asked Marvel for another shot at Iron Fist, saying he wants to do it right this time under the MCU banner. So while we don't know if either one is officially back, the signs are definitely pointing to a slow and steady revival of the Defenders in the main continuity. All of that makes the Punisher's new story even more exciting. Whether it's his relationship with Spider-Man, his next standalone appearance, or that subtle tie-in to Iron Fist, it's clear that Marvel isn't done exploring Frank Castle's role in this universe. And with more characters from Netflix's corner of the Marvel world reappearing, we might just be on the verge of a full-blown Defenders reunion, just with an MCU twist. So, between a gritty special, a meaningful role in Brand New Day, and a possible bridge to Iron Fist, the Punisher has a lot going on. And if Marvel plays it right, Frank Castle could become one of the most interesting and emotionally complex figures in this next era of the MCU. Not bad for a guy who once felt too violent for mainstream superhero stories. Turns out he just needed the right place and the right time to come back. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.